Life is so fragile, and we're constantly reminded just how fragile life can be, especially when we or a loved one is told we have cancer. Cancer survivor myself, I can tell you, we still feel very alone in this journey.
There's a study that's been shown that patients who are socially isolated have a worse prognosis, have a worse outcome than patients who are socially interconnected.
Buddies for Life is a non-profit cancer support group for those whose life has been impacted by cancer. We'll match you with the perfect buddy. Humor, hope, heart, and hugs.
Humor, hope, heart, hugs, and a whole lot of love.
We're offering you a free membership, so please sign up today. Share this with your friends and family, and support this community in every way you can. No one should face cancer alone.
I am a chemo buddy for life.
We are a buddies network.
No one does cancer alone.
Be a buddy.
And we are all here for you as a community of love.
We are chemo buddies for life.
And if you've heard 3 words, you have cancer, for yourself or someone else, you belong with us at Chemo Buddies for Life.
Healing through connections.
Haiti borders with the Dominican.
Her name is Serena Buffalino. They call her Mrs. B, and her class always begins with a pledge.
Something local, something global. Haiti.
They're words that carry weight here. Helping yourself means helping others, giving back, here and a world away in Haiti.
And nobody's helping them, except for people like us.
It was through her the class learned of Haiti, of the nearly 1 million orphans, many with no school, no support, no Mrs. B in their lives.
They could not wrap their head around that.
Mrs. B's students are among Toronto's most at risk. Their challenges vary from emotional and behavioral difficulties to learning disabilities. Their trauma so severe they can't function in a regular school setting, and we aren't allowed to show most of their classmates.
For most of the kids, most of society has turned them away. And in this classroom, they're accepted. They're accepted no matter what for who they are.
Take Yolanda. She came here last year so burdened and withdrawn, she would often fall silent, sometimes for days on end. It was, she says, Mrs. B's patience, her quiet encouragement, that saved her.
She actually saves people's lives from dangers.
And perhaps that's why these marginalized kids feel such a kinship with the orphans of Haiti and why they were moved to act.
And so when Yolanda and Jackie and Patrick said, well, Miss B, we need to build them a school.
Build a school, no easy task. They started out raising money. They sold samosas, washed cars, screened movies, you name it. And in just a few months, this little class raised $20,000. So much, it's not just a one-room schoolhouse they can build, but a full 3-story school. And so Mrs. B set off on a journey she'd dreamed of, up into the dusty mountains above Port-au-Prince to a town called Canaan. It's home to thousands of earthquake refugees who live with no running water, no electricity, and no school, until now. The first step was a temporary school. It's up and running. 53 students already in uniform. The permanent school for 250 is growing from its foundations.
It makes me want to cry because she just makes me feel so awed, and I'm very proud of her.
All of this because of a handful of students back in Canada and Mrs. B, the teacher who believed in them.
These are for you.
At another fundraiser, a special tribute to the students, accepted by someone who, without Mrs. B, might not be here.
They believe in me and I believe in them, and together we not only change our lives, but we change the world around us.
For inspiring great things and seeing the potential in everyone, Serena Buffalino is this week's Everyday Hero.
Good morning, and good morning. Happy Friday. My name is Barbara J. Beckley, and I am here. I am here today to present two wonderful guests that I have. See, I'm not going to waste time. Usually, I talk a little bit to people and I'm like, okay. But you know what? No, today I can't do that because I have some powerful people that are coming on the show today just to meet, so you can get to meet them. What I always say, relationship building is the key to success, right? Relationship building is the key to success. And the reason why, you get to know people, you get to know who they are, you get to know what they do, and maybe you get to know what they do for you. So that's why I created this show on Fridays called The Coach's Lounge with Barbara Beckley. I always told myself, I said, I see a lot of talk shows. We know the talk and, The View and all those kind of shows, but they never really like just pinpoint or just get that one niche of people to give them some more visibility. I mean, they bring on different guests, which is awesome because I watch the shows. But I was thinking, wouldn't it be nice to have a show that would just really just help the coaches, the mentors, and the people that are helping people to get to the next level in their lives and understand what they do? That's powerful. Think about it. That's powerful. I have 3 coaches. I mean, I always tell people, you always need a coach. A coach needs a coach. Just like they say a doctor needs a psychiatrist. But a coach needs a coach. And that's what moves you in your life to do what you have to do to get your goals, to get your objective, whatever you're doing in life. You need that backbone of a person to say, you know what, you can do this, or maybe you should change this, or you should tweak this, because you can't do it alone. You can't do it alone. So I love bringing on the coaches, the mentors, and just people that make a difference in people's lives, because then you can see what they do, how important it is. And then guess what? You might want to just reach out to them and they can help you in your areas, what you want to do in life. So I want to make sure we're going to have first Mr. Michael Whitehouse. Awesome. I love his tagline. Well, it's part of his business. The guy who knows a guy. And I want to answer when I bring him and say, okay, can it be a guy and a lady, guy and ladies? Because he's a connector. He's an awesome expert. He connects people. He's professional at it, and he helps people get to the right people. And I was thinking to myself, I said, oh, I need to get him. I said, I need to get him because I need to get more connected with other people. But he's going to come on and give us his backstory and tell us what he does. And then right after that, we're going to have a wonderful queen that I know her and I have been back and forth. And I do apologize because you're talking about scheduling, but I made sure, I said, no, you're coming on. I'm getting you on. Carol Henderson. She's going to come on right after. So before I bring Michael on, let me just do this right. Because one thing about it, I tell people that the people I bring on are royalty. You got Michael, who's the king, Carol, who's the queen. Okay. Usually I got queens on a lot of women, but we got some kings in the house. And I like that too. Little mixture here. But I got to bring them on the right way. So we're going to bring on Michael. But before we do that, just a little insert, and then we'll have Michael on and we'll get a chance to know him. Here we go. Hello, sir.
I've been on a few shows, haven't I?
That's a good thing.
Yep. So to answer your question, guy is a gender neutral term because if it was the person who knows a man or woman that you might want to be interested, just too many words. So the guy who knows a guy, people know what it means. It's clear. I would say probably 65% of my networking is with women.
Oh, okay. That's good. That's good to know. Then I can be part of it. But no, I know it's much easier to say the guy knows the guy, which is catchy. I love it. It's catchy. It's really catchy. So Michael, first of all, thank you so much for coming on the show. I know that we had to kind of move you around too. So I appreciate you and your patience and cooperation with that, because I really wanted you to come on. So I want to start off first by people getting to know like your backstory, because a lot of times I ask people, I'm like, okay, he's this great motivator, author. He connects people, but he didn't do all that at the beginning. So kind of tell you how you got to this point.
Sure. Yes. So the story really starts in 2014 when I moved to Groton, Connecticut. And at that point, I didn't know anybody. So it starts a little bit earlier when my wife and she was my girlfriend at the time, would about to become my fiance and then my wife. We were in a place where we're making the most money we ever made. Everything was going great. And we said, you know what? I think it's time to settle down. I think we can have a baby together because, we're making all this money. We're dual income, no kids. Things were great. Well, 9 months later, I'd been fired from my job. She'd quit her job. We'd moved. I was trying to start a business. I had no network. And that's how we landed in Groton, Connecticut. Baby on the way in 2 months and me knowing nobody and nothing. So I knew what I needed was a network. I wasn't quite sure what exactly the rest of the plan was, but I knew I needed to have some connections. I couldn't know nobody. Mm-hmm. And at the time, I knew there were networking events. So I said, let me go to all of them because I have 2 settings on and off. I don't have a middle setting. So I started going to every network event I could find, business after hours, business before hours, and ribbon cutting, line cutting. I would show up to the opening of an envelope. And I started meeting people and discovered I was able to make connections to people of note and people of note. People of 5 miles apart had been in the same area for 50 years, didn't know each other. And I was connecting them. And I said, I seem to be doing something. And I'm shocked no one else has done it, but I know what I did. I can reproduce it. I can write it down. And so I wrote it down and published it in a book called The Guy Knows a Guy. And then come 2020, I was publishing a community magazine. And 75% of my business was coming from in-person networking because I wasn't a big fan of cold calling, but I love networking. I was pretty good at it. And then that all went away. And that was the sign. Some people might say, everything you built was ruined. No, that was the sign that the table had been cleared to do the thing that I was really meant to do. Mm-hmm. I've always been interested in coaching. I've always wanted to help people. I've always been kind of intuitive at being able to give good advice and solve people's problems. But I always had a job that was more reliable income. Well, in 2020, I didn't anymore. Oh, wow. So I took advantage of some of the stimulus money I was able to get and jumped full force into whatever this new thing was I was doing. I experimented with coaching for a bit, but really I spent 2021, most of it was in retrospect, I call it an R&D year, research and development. At the time, I just was wandering in the wilderness. I had no idea what I was doing. But looking back, I'm like, I was building. I was learning. Mm-hmm. And I bring this story up because a lot of people in your audience might be like, I have no idea what I'm doing right now. I've got 2 clients. I'm making, my monthly revenue is $700 a month. Mm-hmm. I don't know what's happening. Well, if you're in that place, that's the R&D period. That's when you're figuring it out. People say it takes 3 years for business to become profitable. It usually takes 3 months to become profitable and 3 years to figure out how. Mm-hmm. Once you find it, it takes off and it goes. It's like walking around the parking lot looking for your car. It doesn't take you 20 minutes to drive your car. It takes you 20 minutes to find your car. Once you're in it, you turn the key and drive off. So you may be in that place, and that's totally fine, and you'll find it if you keep looking. So I did that, and what the key thing was somebody finally gave me the advice. I was looking, okay, I need to be a coach. I need to build a high ticket offer. I need to build a course, all that stuff that coaches do. And I didn't know how, and I couldn't figure out what goes in a high ticket offer and what can I package and sell? And finally someone, my friend, Phil Palucha, who's the host of Billionaires and Boxers, which I was actually, that episode finally came out. We recorded it in, I think, December and just came out this week. He said to me, he's like, some people get paid to make introductions. And I said, really? Tell me more about that. So I learned that it's a very niche because it's a certain type of person who can be that, but I just happen to be me. Because I can't stop myself from networking. Whatever I try to do, my calendar just fills up with one-to-ones and fills up with networking events. And I try to be like, I should work on building my course. No, I can't. It's full of one-to-ones again. So I was able to build a business around that as a networking concierge. So clients now hire me to make introductions to people I know. And mostly they're people who their time is worth more than their money. So they know how to network. They know how to meet people, but they don't have time to spend 20 hours a week going to events and doing one-to-ones and meeting with everybody. So they have me do it. And then I take the people I meet who match them. So I'll meet with 20 people and I'll introduce them to 3 because these are the 3 they need to meet.
They need to meet. Wow.
So they spend 90 minutes. I spend 20 hours. And I can kind of curate the people I meet to find the ones who they need to meet.
You know what, Michael? That is a really good niche. That's a good business because, like you said, a lot of times, sometimes you have time to be going to all these different networks. But if you have like a middle person like you, and you're so awesome at it, you get the people, you kind of vent them a little bit. You know, you're kind of looking at them saying, okay, is this the right fit for my client? And then you're like, okay, bingo. Okay, let's do this. And then you just send them over to your client.
Yep.
Your client's like, hey, I just spent 10 minutes.
Yeah. You know, when I first started thinking about coaching, I'm like, oh, I could teach people to do what I do. And then I realized nobody should be doing what I do. Like you people have like real jobs and skills. You know, if you're a graphic designer, you got to be designing graphics. If you're a coach, you got to be coaching. If you're a course creator, you got to be creating courses. Yeah. I spend all my time networking. And that's the system I know. It's very time intensive. So if I were to teach you to do it, it would be time intensive for you too. So
yeah, and that's a really good. I mean, I never thought. I can't even think of anybody else that I know that does that kind of work and help business people out. I mean, that's tremendous. So now, Mike, I was going to ask you now when you do that. So what is kind of like? Okay, say for instance, I came to you and I'm like, Michael, I need help. I need some network. I need some people to come into my life. How would you start off?
Well, so first, there's a couple of criteria for people I do work with. So, and I'm going to take this in 2 directions. One is some people, a lot of people, most people I meet are not my clients. They're not my audience for this. And so, that's why I wrote the book. That's why I do a lot of free content online. That's why I get on podcasts to teach people to network themselves. Because you can do what I do, just not as intensively as I do it. You don't have to spend all your time networking. But for my clients, they are people who know how to network. I don't want to work with someone who's like, I don't know how to network. I just want you to do it for me. Because if you don't know how to network, then you think I'm going to deliver magical results. I am not a magician. I am not a wizard. I don't make magic. I just spend a bunch of time doing something and then distill it down. So people who don't understand networking think they're gonna be like, okay, so I want to meet Oprah and Gary Vaynerchuk and Tony Robbins and go find them for me. I'm not a detective. I'm not a bounty hunter. So networking tends to be a lot of going to an event and you meet 30 people and then sifting out of these 30, I want to have follow-up meetings with 8 of them. And then out of those 8, we can have some kind of ongoing relationship with 3. Okay. Well, that took a lot of time. That event might have been 2 days. Those one-to-ones are half an hour each. That's 4 or 5 hours. Yeah. And then maybe a follow-up call, and that's another 2 hours.
2 hours, yeah.
With what I do, you skip to the 2 hours. I go to the event. I go to the I then do the one-to-ones. And so what I start by doing is getting to know my client and understanding what they're looking for, who it is they're looking to meet. For a lot of them, they're in the joint venture space. That's kind of the easiest because there's kind of a common language there. So they're looking for people who want to promote their programs or webinar swaps or summit stages or whatnot. But a lot of my clients, they end up being more nuanced in what nuanced, more varied in what they need because they're operating at a level where they've got interest in different places. So they're not just a coach because once you reach a certain level in business, you are also an investor. Yeah. If you're making 7 figures, you're not just putting that money in the bank. You're investing in real estate. You're investing in startups. You're investing in you're deploying that money different places. So some of the introductions I make are for those sort of ancillary things that my clients do. And what's interesting about making connections, I don't need to understand what I'm making the connection for.
Okay.
I just need to know what I'm looking for and listen for the key words. So I will often, especially for a couple of my clients, I'll make an introduction, which is basically, hey, you two need to meet because you both used this word. I don't know what that word means, but I know it's something in the investment space. And so I think you're going to want to talk about it.
This person, yeah.
And these, I'd say 3 out of 4 times that comes back as like, yes, that was a good introduction. Because it's one of those things that's a word you only use when you're in the 8-9 figure investment space. So if you're in that club, that's kind of the secret password. Like, I heard the password. I don't know what happens in there, but I know you got the password to get it, so I'm going to connect you.
So you got those. You have those keywords that you can get. You know, say, okay, this kind of this goes.
And some of that's just connecting with my client. You know, as they talk, they say those things, and I say, yeah, I heard you mention this. I heard this person mention this, and so I'm not necessarily an expert on joint ventures, although I'm certainly learning a lot about them at a rapid pace. I'm certainly no expert on real estate investing or startup investing or joint venture projects, teaming things up. I know a little bit about everything and a whole lot about not much. Very much jack of all trades, but it gives me just enough knowledge to recognize, you guys know a lot about this, or to meet someone who's a category expert. They're very deep and narrow, as opposed to, I'm super wide and shallow. They are very deep and narrow, and so I might know clients who can help them. So sometimes, I'm not prospecting prospects. I'm not just saying, hey, you should hire my client for something. In fact, sometimes I am sending people to my client that my client might hire.
Oh, okay.
Because they need, something that's super niche. I met a guy the other day. He does call centers for follow-up for coaches. So you do an event, you get 300 people to come to your webinar, you make 3 or 4 sales, you have 296 people who didn't buy. Yeah. Now they're in your email funnel. You're emailing them, you got a 25% open rate. Well, you got 75% of the people falling through the cracks. His call center has people who pick up the phone and call them up and say, hey, Barbara, just want to get your feedback. What did you think about the webinar? Or did you have any thoughts? And open up a conversation. And in that conversation, you might be like, yeah, you know what? I'm glad you called me. I forgot about that. But no, I did want to do that program. So, I've never met anyone else who does that. Yeah. So now that I know that, now I can go to my clients who might need it and say, hey, I got this guy who does this call center thing. Do you want to meet him? And people say, well, yes, I do. And the other thing that I do is I have my core clients who actually pay me, on a retainer to go always be looking out for them. I also have affiliate clients. So these are people that if I make a connection for them, some pay me for the introduction, some pay me if it turns into closed business. And so I'm building a structure whereby when I help people, I get paid for it. Now, some people hear that and they say, oh, you're getting paid for these introductions. So how do I know they're good? Because most people in the industry pay for introductions or referrals. So it's like an insurance agent. They get paid for wherever they place your insurance. And if they know XYZ Insurance doesn't treat their customers right, they just don't sell that one because everyone else gives commissions too. Yeah. Same thing. I'll only work with people of integrity. And honestly, the person they're most likely to screw is me. Oh. They might deliver a good product and then not pay the affiliate commission. That's the most common place where it gets dropped. But if I ever hear back from someone that, hey, that person you introduced me to, they didn't do the work or they didn't follow up or the quality wasn't good, I don't care if they give me 125% commission. They are out the door. I'll never introduce them again.
Well, that's good to know that, because like you say, you want to make sure things are working right. Now, Michael, do you ever, I think you mentioned this at the beginning, do you do voiceovers? Do you do you do voiceovers by any chance?
I didn't mention it, but I could do voiceovers. No one's hired me for that.
Because I was thinking, because I've been taught, because you have a wonderful voice. I mean, that, and it probably, I know other people have told you this. I mean, you could do voiceovers for a lot of people in regarding their commercials or just introducing them that way.
Yeah. It's one of those things I could totally do. It's not lucrative enough to be worth marketing. I mean, I've got a couple things on Fiverr that people can hire me for, but it's not worth building the apparatus to market it. But if anyone's listening and be like, well, I'd like his voice at the opening to my podcast, then yes, I can do voiceovers. I also do a daily motivational podcast. So again, if you're listening and you like my voice and you're like, I want him to wake me up every morning. I mean, I won't come into your house and wake you up, but I'd like to hear him motivate me every morning. Then if you have the morning motivation, and I discovered for a while this didn't work because we weren't at that searchable threshold, and now we are. That at least on Google Home, you can say, "Okay, Google, play Morning Motivation by Michael Whitehouse on Google Podcast," and it will play the latest episode of my podcast.
Oh, that is awesome. That's wow. I'm glad you said that to the audience so they know, if they, want to get that and, they know where to go and what to just say. Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, you could even, I haven't set this. It's a little bit funky to do it, but you can actually set it up if you have an Android phone. I don't know how iPhones work. If you have an Android phone, you can make my latest episode your alarm.
Wow.
Yeah, if you go to Google Assistant, you can set special alarms, and one of the options is latest podcast.
Wow. See, you're going to be your household name. That's what I tell people. And when you get to that point, you're in a whole another level.
In at least 70 households.
70 households. Well, Michael, I mean, I know with time, but what I usually like to do is give you like 30 seconds and I'll take myself down for a minute so you can just kind of give people last thoughts that you want them to have and then how they can contact you.
Absolutely. All right. So the one thing I always leave everyone with is if you want to be a connector, the only thing it takes is choosing to be a connector. It's a mindset thing more than anything else. Once you set the mindset, the tactics will follow. But if you would like some tactics, I would like to offer the audience at home a free copy of my book here, The Guy Who Knows a Guy. If you go to guywhoknowsaguy.com, you can get the ebook by putting your email address in the top. And then I realized I personally have trouble finishing ebooks or even starting them when you get down to it. So I've recorded it as an audiobook on MP3. And at the very same place, guywhoknowsaguy.com, you put your email address in at the top and you will get the ebook and the audiobook, an MP3 version of it. So you can listen to my book. It's about 2 hours long and we'll get you started with getting going. So it's been great to be on here. Glad I could share the story of what I'm doing, and hopefully some people get my book and get some benefit from it and get out there and network. Because the great thing is it's not a zero-sum game. The better people are at networking, the more lucrative everything is for everyone. There's plenty for everybody, and the more networked my network is, the more networked I am.
I like how that kind of jumbles. But first of all, thank you, Michael, for coming on the show and really showing that there's another niche of a coach regarding networking, because it is so important to get with those right people. And sometimes you might not know, how to network, like you said, but you just can't really, you're not, getting the people that you really need. You come in and say, hey, I can do this for you. Yeah. And thank you for being that coach that's helping people too to understand more about networking so they could do it on their own in a better way.
Thanks for giving me the platform.
Yes, no problem. Well, you take care, Michael. You have a wonderful weekend. And like I said, if there's anything else I can help you with to promote or come back on the show, I am here for you.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Take care. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you, Michael, so much for coming on the show. I truly appreciate it. Coaches Lounge, I keep telling you, you're going to meet different coaches, different people that help others move that needle in their lives. I mean, who would not want to have a person that can go out and go on all these networking functions that you probably don't have time for? But then you find somebody like Michael and you see how energetic he is. You know, he's knowledgeable. He's just an open person. He's very, just a go-getter. And I would love, if I'm gonna say, I'm gonna have to call him and see what he charges, because that will really help me out with some of the people that I'm trying to connect with, especially when you think about it. If you do have a podcast or a show, like, I have, you can, hire Michael, and then he can do those connections and see what people that you might want to bring on your show or your podcast. He can always vet them out that way. So there's a lot of different ways how you can use that to bring people into your life. And Michael is that connector. So I would ask everybody to, reach out to him. If you didn't get his information, because I know sometimes it's kind of quick, because with the show, please reach out to me by messenger. I have everybody's contacts. Believe me, if you need their contacts, I can give them to you, because I connect that kind of way to make sure that you get to the person that you want to get to. So now we have, oh my God, we have this wonderful, wonderful queen. Carol, first of all, she's very patient with me. So already I appreciate her so much for being so patient with me. And this woman, talking about connection. So I met her through another wonderful queen, Barbara Ellison. And me, as everybody might know, we have a show called The BBs. I call The BBs, Time to Shine Happiness with the BBs. Come on every Tuesday morning. But, one thing about Barbara, you talking about a connector. She's just like Michael. She connects people. She gets, know people. And she's like, hey, and she has no problem saying, hey, meet this person, that person. So she said, you need to meet Carol. She's an awesome lady. She's amazing. And I said, okay. And then we brought her on because we have another show. You see how many shows we have here. And she's been a part of this other show that comes on Thursday night called Diamond Perspective Panel. And when I heard her speak about what she does, she has a heart of gold. I mean, this woman, you're going to hear her. You're going to be like, I'm just falling in love with the person because I could just tell she cares. And see, that's what I'm talking about. That has to come back when you're coaching, when you're mentoring, when you're helping, when you're influencer. You have to show the love and the care right now. Especially these times right now that we have. It's been almost 3 years that we've been going through. Everybody knows about the pandemic. And now the war is going on, and then just a whole lot of things. And when you can meet people like Carol to come and just really just, help, be there, and be genuine. You don't get too many people in life that way. So I want to make sure that, you get to know her. I wanted to bring her on the show. And so you can get to, like I said, building those relationships. And that's what I'm talking about. And she's one that you're going to really, this is, like I said, this is a treat today to have her on the show. But again, as I said, I can't bring on royalty, just be like, ta-da, they're here on the screen. I got to make sure that I do them right and justice. So just give a little plug here, and then we'll bring Chilpi right on. Here we come. Miss Carol.
Good morning.
Good morning, Angel, Queen, and everything else between. How are you doing, lady?
I am doing really great. We're actually snowed in. So
no. Oh God.
Yeah. So my plans for the day are totally changing. So and I'm gonna roll.
At least I get to spend a little time with you while you're snowed in.
Yeah. Thank God for Zoom. Well, and StreamYard and all of the technology.
Yeah, especially because sometimes, if it's raining real hard or snowing or whatever, technology can be a little bit, whatever. But we're not going to put that out there to the universe because I don't want nothing happening. So I'm going to just be quiet and move on. So first of all, Ms. Carol, before we get to really chance to have a discussion and conversation with you and get to know all the wonderful things you do, I just want to thank you for coming on the show, for being so patient with me, because I know we had to move you around a few times. But you were just so nice to say, you know what? Okay, I can do it that day. And I was like, because this woman's busy. So it's not like she's just waiting for somebody to say, okay, come. She has a lot of things going on in her life, and she's doing a lot of things for individuals and the world. So I appreciate you so much for doing that and coming on the Coaches Lounge
Well,
and
thank
being
you.
a guest and being
Thank
a
you.
guest. So now I just want to kind of dig into it. First, I want to get some backstory about you, but I need to do this up front. I need to congratulate you because I know a little birdie told me that you had a book that just came out. Am I correct?
Yes. Yes.
Talk about the book.
Well, I know I wasn't expecting the pictures you put up of me. I assume you peeled them off of Facebook. But the book is about autophagy and intermittent fasting, and everybody talks about keto diets and how they do their intermittent fasting, and this brings a whole different concept to it. Autophagy actually won the Nobel Prize in Medicine and Physiology in 2016. And so it's like it takes that to a new level, and I have some ways to do that will make people healthier. And the autophagy means breaking down the old cells, even cells that start with a C. I mean, those particular kind of cells and other bad cells, breaks them down, gets rid of the bad and keeps the good parts and reforms. And it's how God made our bodies to heal. And if you give it the right things and do the right things, you will be incredibly healthy. And so that's what the book is about, and it's live. I did send you a link just now while we were talking, and I put it in Messenger. So very excited about it. It's inexpensive. Go out and get it. Call me if you have any questions. It's exciting.
Wonderful, wonderful. So now that will go back to the backstory. So what made you decide to write the book? Because I know health wise, I know it wasn't needed. So what made you just say, I want this time for me to put this book out?
Well, my background, I love connecting, and I loved the last segment. He is wonderful. I was so excited that I got a chance to hear him. But in the past, I had a brick and mortar modeling school for many years, like 15, 20 years. And that's why I was the tall, beautiful girl. But anyway, I've always been into health and wellness, even during that time. And the parents would say, go see what Carol has for you. If what she has doesn't work, I'll take you to the doctor. And so that's kind of how that, really got started. And I closed my business a few years ago as far as the brick and mortar. Still do a lot in the industry, or some in the industry, but I have life by design. And my whole premise there is that you can design your life to look better, live better, and feel better. And so all three areas, and it fulfills me to help people. That's my go-to thing, is for people to be better in their lives. And so many people get unbalanced. Their work life is good, but their home life is not. Their spiritual life is good, but their body's falling apart. And it's all three things, spirit, soul, and body, that we need to deal with to be a healthy, whole person. And so that's basically what Life by Design is designing your life.
Wonderful. I love how you look at the whole thing, because you're right. Sometimes we are a lot of us, maybe the majority of us are kind of imbalanced sometimes. We're really good maybe in this area, but then we're kind of in this area. So how do you, work that? How do you get that balance, especially in health? I know everybody now, and now that a lot of people sitting at home and not moving and not going anywhere. I mean, just things are opening up now more, but I think that was a challenge for all of us. I know it was a challenge for me, being in the house all the time. I mean, all of a sudden I felt bones and stuff a little bit more harder to get up when I was sitting down or rising up. And I'm like, oh my God, I never even thought I was going to feel this way. Yeah.
Right. Well, and we don't. I mean, our generation, we don't expect to. I mean, we think we're still in the teenage years of thinking that we're bulletproof, 6 feet tall and bulletproof is one of the things we say down here. And so I think it brought a new perspective to so many people, and so many people did that time of sequesteredness badly. You know, they binged Netflix and ate bonbons and watched soap operas, and their bodies responded as if they were doing that. They thought they couldn't work out if they didn't go to a gym, or that they, you know, well, I have nothing better to do, you know, might as well just stay home. So those kind of things, and even people that didn't want to stay home. I mean, there's those that would like to stay home, and some of them actually, from what I hear, still are. But you know, the people who wanted to work, who had their businesses or had their jobs and were fulfilled there, it was like prison for them. And so, you know, there's just been an explosion of new home businesses that have come about because of that, and that's exciting. That is so exciting. Whether it's a technology base like what we do, or a craft, you know, where they're out in their shop building things and selling. You know, so many things.
Yeah.
So many things.
Yeah. I think now, Carol, I've been noticing a lot of people have been finding their true, even if they knew their purpose on what they're supposed to do, they've been really having now the opportunity now to just say, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and do it. I mean, you know, I mean, this whole thing's changed everybody, and their mind, you know, flow is like, I can do this, or I can try this now. You know, it's something different. People have been leaving companies. They've been, like you said, building their own. They've been really doing things that they really love to do now, and they feel in harmony by it.
Yes. So many people have said, I've always wanted to do this or always wanted to do that. And they finally are getting the chance to fulfill those dreams that the 9-to-5 work day, just barely making a living, kept them from being able to pursue those different
avenues.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I always hear, you know, I know Steve Harvey, a lot of people say, just jump, just do it, just jump. Well, within the last almost 3 years, it wasn't like people telling you just jump. You had it. It was like, okay, I have to. Now it's like, okay, even if I didn't want to jump, I'm jumping. But if I wasn't that creative, I'm being creative now, or, you know,
they got shoved off the cliff.
Yeah, they're like, here you go.
You know, and some people chose to fly. Some people chose to fly, and some people are at the bottom of the cliff in a state of depression of I don't know who I am now. And that's one of the things that I like to help people with, is find them. And you were talking about collaboration in your show with Barbara Ellison, and she and I do a show together and stuff. It's not as widespread as yours, but we're called the Mavens of Motivation. And we do a Monday motivation show, and we've started doing Thoughtful Thursdays where we interview somebody. And our interview last week, we have a third friend named Donna Pappengellan, and she was the first woman, you've got to have her on. She was the first woman to break the ceiling in Major League Sports as a trainer.
Wow.
Okay. And she, you know, worked with the farm league. Her first one was one of the farm teams for the Texas Rangers. So down here, that's a big deal. She also worked with the San Francisco Giants with their teams, and then was the trainer at Rice University. She was over all of their baseball, and she is working. We're all doing a workshop together, and she's going to be to helping people. Most people, as they age, get unbalanced. They lose their balance, where they, especially after, you know, being lucky. You're talking about hips, joints, movement, and we get to where we are unstable in our walking in comparison to how we were. And so she has some really simple little things you can do at home for free to get that built back up. And so she's going to be talking about that. I'm going to be talking about my area, and Barbara's going to be working on the personality traits. And so it's going to be a great work. But our podcast grew this workshop, and we're really excited about that. And that's coming up the end of this month.
That's awesome. I'm telling you, you're doing a lot of wonderful things, lady. You really are. Like I said, being an impactor in a positive manner, Now, I want to ask, because I know, like I said, you got a lot of hats here. I love the different hats you have. You're an author, you're a podcaster, you're a TV host, you're just an angel, you're a queen, you got that crown on. We can't see it, but it's there. It's there. And then you also, I know you have done, to help with children, adults, like emotional wise with trauma. So do you still do that, dip dab in that a little bit? Because I know that's one of the things you used to really do really heavy.
Yes, I do a lot of that. And my husband and I have been in ministry for over 45 years, not, sometimes in a pulpit, but not like we don't pastor. And he has a book that goes into a lot of the trauma part. And what I've realized is that often impacts the physical. So many people are overweight because of something that happened in their childhood, something that came, a trauma, whether, even as something as little as a car wreck that traumatized them, or their, abuse is through the roof as far as coming out, people talking about it. And, being open about it. Used to, it was something you didn't talk about, especially family type abuse. And so all those things are things that if you have the right tools, you can go in and be healed in those areas. And oftentimes that's not the only reason for a weight issue or something, but sometimes that is the key thing. A lot of times it's nutrition. I focus a lot on proper nutrition. And I personally think that one of the biggest problems today in our diet is lack of protein. People don't realize how much protein they need. They're trying to lose weight by eating salads, but truthfully, my weight dropped when I upped my protein. And I don't mean go buy something off the internet. Look at what it is. Look at the grams of protein, the quality, how much is bioavailable. And if anybody wants to reach out to me, I even have a formula. I can tell you how much protein you need a day. And I can tell you how to get it, because typically what you need is nowhere in the ballpark of what you can consume.
So you deal with, like you said, adults and children regarding like the trauma can relate to their health well-being. Is that how that works?
Yes. Yeah. Because if you have a trauma in your life, it affects the filters of how you see everything. If I've been wounded by somebody, if I've been wounded by somebody not caring for me, having to reschedule my time could affect that would be a filter that I would have, and I would be going, Barbara didn't care. She doesn't think I'm valuable. She just threw me to the side, but that's a filter. And if you can get the filters off, think about if you have on 3 or 4 different pairs of sunglasses, it's hard to see.
Yeah.
Start pulling those sunglasses off, and you can see clearer and clearer and clearer. So, yeah.
You know what? I love that example, that analogy, where, like you said, if you have a whole bunch of, it's just really like, I can't. But then when you take them off, it's like you're getting more clear on seeing what's going on. You're like, oh, now I feel more. Yeah. And I think with trauma, like you said, that really, comes in, and it's like, ooh, because that's the only thing that's going on in your head now. Everything else is like to the side, because now you're dealing with this trauma in your life.
Yes. Well, think about when you go to the doctor and get your eyes checked. People start doing that even at a young age usually. And, which is clear, do you want to, and some of you can't see at all. They put some, or
I know it's like they put sometime if they press, I noticed this, you talking about an eye doctor, they press on, how they have to press on one eye so you can see, and then they check the other eye. And I'm like, now it's like he does this eye, and I'm like, okay, I can see it. Then he'll do it real quick. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm trying to focus here before I can see it on the, because you just held the other eye.
Right.
And the
Or
doctor,
putting on someone else's glasses.
oh
That-
yeah, you'd be like,
Yeah.
"Ooh," like,
Somebody traumatizing you is like putting on their glasses.
yes, wow, it's another good analogy. You're good. You're good. So Carol, I just want to make sure, because I always, like I said before, when I did with Michael, is I'd like to give you like 30 seconds just to tell just any lasting thoughts that you want them to know, and then again how they can contact you and get your book. So I'm going to take myself down. I'll be right back.
Okay. Yes. Okay. I am so excited to be here today. I help people to do all the things that we said. So you can get a hold of me. Carol Henderson TX, like Texas, at AOL.com is my email. But put something in the subject line about that you heard it on this Diamond Experience, so that I won't think it's just junk mail. So put it in there, or you can go to Life by Design on Facebook, Carol Henderson, Life by Design, and find me there. My book is up on Amazon, and Barbara knows all the ways to get a hold of me, and she has the link to that book. The book is called To Fast or Not to Fast, Timing is the Question, by Carol Henderson. And it's a picture of feet on the scales, but the fasting is not only for weight. It's for health. It's for getting your body healthier, because I want everybody to live their life at the fullest. I mean, I want you full out, 90 to nothing, just winning in every area of your life, spirit, soul, and body.
Didn't I tell you she was an angel and a queen? Carol, you're just awesome, lady. You're just amazing to me. Thank you for being on the show, being so patient with me, and just being who you are in life. You're really making a difference, and I want you to know that. A lot of times, like I tell people, we need to encourage each other. And you encourage me, Carol, every time you're talking, you're helping, you're giving advice, you're giving, those wisdom, those golden nuggets that we need, and just to learn. So thank you for being in that space, in that health space, because we need that a lot. We all need that, no matter where you're at in your health. You still need that. A lot of people think like it's just the losing of the weight. It's not just the losing of the weight. I mean, some people can be just, they think they're thin or whatever, and they still not healthy in other areas. So it's a whole.
And even physically, if they're thin, sometimes they're very unhealthy. I have friends that are too thin, and so I have to help them beef up a little bit and get some muscle mass on their bodies, because that makes them more frail. Think about the little, I think there were more of them back when we were kids, but the little old ladies that are frail and stuff. But the way we eat and the way we see food in this country, especially in the U.S., is not real conducive to good health. And so that's what I help people to just reboot. Is basically, turn off your computer, you turn off your phone and reboot it. That's what I help people do.
A reboot. I like that.
Reboot, yeah.
That's a good marketing thing for you. I help to reboot people into there.
Yeah, that actually just came out of my mouth. So I think I'm going to grab it.
See, you never know. You be talking, conversating into this, just comes out. You'd be like, maybe I can use that for a marketing thing.
Yeah.
You never know. Well, thank you, Carol, so much. And thank you. And congratulations again on your book. I ask people, please, contact me, Carol. She has her email. I put her email address there. She does have an Amazon link. It was kind of long, but I want to make sure that you reach out to Carol. And remember, like she said, put in the subject line what you're, basically needing, and say, hey, subject line, hey, manufacturer show book. I want your book.
Yeah. Or Barbara Beckley, Diamond Experience, and then I'll know to go and open that email, because there's so much spam out there nowadays.
I know. There's just, I'm still not going to talk. That's a whole nother coaching that I need. The clutter of that. So thank you, Carol, so much for coming on today. And anything else that you need in the future that you might want to just talk about, or something that's coming your way in your life, please let us know, and we'll bring you back on the Coaches Lounge.
Thanks.
Okay, you take care.